Welcome to 9 Point Started With a Dream podcast. Our goal is to showcase the stories of athletes and the community that supports them by being authentic about their journey. Here's your host, Jacolby Gilliam.
Yo, welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, as always, Jacolby Gilliam, and every episode we do, we like to find a guest, that embodies what it means to be a dream chaser, right? Someone who, never backs down, someone who's like an underdog, someone who just goes after their dream and just shoots their shot. And today's guest, Brian Bell, is all of that. He took something that happened to him and growing up that could have said he could have said, you know what, I'm done with sports. But he said, you know what, I'm gonna bounce back from this. I'm gonna push the limits. I'm gonna see what's possible. And he's doing just that. He's an athlete, a Paralympian gold medalist, and so much more. So great story here, great journey. You're gonna get inspired by it, and hopefully you just kind of motivate yourself to chase your dreams too. So let's get to it. So Brian, the question that everyone that comes on is, when you're younger as an athlete, what was like your big dream and goal you wanted to achieve?
When I was an athlete, I would say, especially like pre-injury and accident, growing into Birmingham, Alabama, football was really big. So of course I wanted to play football at like college level. And then maybe if I was good enough and trained hard enough, maybe a little bit more past that. But definitely wanted to play football at the college level because I've grew up watching University of Alabama and their football program. So that's kind of one of the things I wanted to do. Then, of course, after my accident, lost my right leg, I had to kind of refocus and kind of find out a new passion or new dream or drive to do. And then after a few, challenging aspects of finding sports, like I tried football again after my injury and I had my prosthetic. And of course I loved it at the time, but I couldn't keep up with all the other kids. Only having one leg, it just wasn't, a reliable situation to kind of do long term. So then I decided to kind of find more sports that's more equipped for adaptive athletes or people with, injuries and stuff in that nature. So that's when I found wheelchair basketball. And then I kind of fell in love with wheelchair basketball because basketball in general was kind of my second favorite sport growing up. And then I just gravitated to that. It's kind of a pretty easy switch. And I kind of fell in love with it and kind of ran with it.
Neat. So that was a process of kind of finding your new passion in a sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you said, before the accident, you loved football, and then the accident happened. So you mind saying what happened a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So when I was about 9, close to 10, I was going to visit a friend of mine with some of my friends that came over to my house to get me to go to the other friend's house. And the neighborhood that I live in is kind of surrounded by a lot of kind of industrial type things. So there's a lot of train tracks. There's a lot of trains coming back and forth, loading, unloading type of things, raw materials like coals and all stuff like that. So they always stop on the train tracks to, of course, load and unload. And it just very, very annoying. Sometimes it takes hours. Sometimes it's quick, but most of the time it's very, very long. Being an impatient kid, I got tired of waiting. And then I decided okay, I'm just going to climb the ladder because all the train cars have ladders. I'm just going to climb the ladder, try to get to the other side, and then just hop off. But of course, as I was doing that, the train started kind of moving again and kind of jolted really quickly. And I kind of lost my balance as I was about to jump off and caught my right leg and fell underneath. And the train, as it was keep going, just ran right over it. And lucky enough, it was only the right and not both. But yeah, ran completely over it and crushed it, the leg. But lucky enough, I was able to kind of get away from the train and kind of very, very loudly scream to my friends at the time to go get help and call 911 and all that stuff.
Wow, man. So I'm glad you're here. Right?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely very, very likely that I could not have been here.
Yeah,
I lost a lot of blood at that time. So yeah, very, very thankful.
So when you said, you had the injury and now you kind of had to find, like a new passion, how did you, I guess, kind of how do you go from, the point of, dealing with what happened to saying, okay, I'm gonna find a, like that next thing, kind of dealing with the process of kind of overcoming what just happened to you?
It was to do with that. I would say it was kind of my support network, especially early on. Of course, my family was very supportive and hoping that I would be able to kind of get back to normal things. My friends who came to visit were very encouraging and very like joking with me at the time, like, "Are you just gonna keep laying there?" type of thing, stuff like that to kind of get my spirits up. And I appreciate it a lot because when something like that happens, you think the world's over, you're not gonna be able to do much now, that type of thing. It helped a lot knowing that I'd be able to get a prosthetic and be able to walk again, and then put in the work as much as I can to kind of get to walking normally, and then maybe not even people even knowing I have a prosthetic leg, especially when wearing pants. So it was just those type of things that kind of helped me in my drive to kind of get back into the more normal side of things of going to school, not in a wheelchair type of thing, then get back on the prosthetic and then finding sports again. And just that support network from friends and family helped tremendously.
So when you got your prosthetic, how long did it kind of take you can go from, to kind of be able to just be able to like fully be able to walk everything in it?
It took a while. I would say between like 6 and 8 months, if I remember correctly, from like rehab, and then to like a bunch of them taking molds of my leg, and then to trying on different types of prosthetics to make sure it fits correctly. At the time, I was with Shriners Hospital, and they were able to get me connected with a more, I would say, specialized prosthetic team at the time that was out of South Carolina. So they actually scheduled like vans for me to like drive from Birmingham, Alabama, all the way up to South Carolina to go see those hospitals and to get help from those doctors. And so I was in good hands early on to be able to get in a prosthetic that was made perfectly for me, as I was growing up, and be able to kind of enjoy sports on my prosthetic. And that was kind of the leading factor of like, oh, this prosthetic is working perfectly. Maybe I should try my hand at football again, just to see how it is. Because when I'm doing it in the neighborhood and stuff like that, it seems like it's working perfectly fine. So that was kind of like driving factor into like trying middle school football at the time on my prosthetic.
So you're back on the field, right? Football field.
Mm-hmm.
Were you a receiver? Were you playing? Or were you playing at?
My position at the time was I was trying to find my niche. When I was playing football before my accident, I always like the receiver type thing, but I didn't feel like I had like the speed and stuff for that stuff. So I tried my hand on the more defensive side, and then I was more around the safety spot area, which is still requires a decent amount of running and movement. But that's kind of the next spot after that I wanted to try. And then I wasn't as mobile, of course, being on a prosthetic. So then I kind of got bumped down to like more special teams and stuff of that nature. So, and I enjoyed that quite a bit because then I was able to kind of be like the second and third wave of like getting tackles and stuff like that onto people once my other teammates kind of get a hold of them, and stuff like that. But I enjoyed it tremendously, even if I didn't get the particular roles that I wanted from the start.
So what was that? So what was that feeling like that first game? Going from knowing where you were to what happened to now you're back. Like know that you're back doing something that you love. What was that feeling like that first game?
Oh, it was amazing. It was definitely hard because, like I said, I tried the safety first, and it was challenging, especially when like one of the opposing team's receiver came right up the middle and he caught the ball and he was coming right at me. And of course, he did one little quick, juke move, and I wasn't as comfortable, with my lateral movement at the time. and he was able to get right around me and get a touchdown. So that kind of felt bad. But of course, I stuck with it, and I just changed to a different role and put someone else in a better position so we can succeed as a team. So all
Was
in all, it was still fine.
was there ever any like fear, of like getting out there at all?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say fear. Definitely anxious and like nervous in terms of maybe um, I'm not performing well enough for the team, and that's kind of stemmed to like me trying different roles to kind of help the team out more better in that situation. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't say fear.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't hear a lot about, about athletes wearing prosthetics playing football, right? You don't kind of hear a lot of those stories. So say they're the kid out there that wants to, that wants to give it a try. What
Yeah.
advice would you give them?
I would say, especially if you're, younger and you have a disability or anything, I would say just try everything. It helps tremendously if whatever PE teacher or physical education instructor at your schools include you in everything. That helps tremendously because then at that point, you're introduced to certain things, you're seeing your limitations early on, and later down the road what you can't do. And a lot of times, school systems don't, provide the right amount of like accessibility for people with disabilities to try different sports. They more let them do whatever else they want to do rather than like forcing them to at least try it to see if they even like it. And it helps in the long run because then you grow to like find something that you like to do in terms of being physically active with having a disability.
That's good right there. So you said you tried football, you kind of realized like I read on your profile that it was like, became kind of strenuous with everything. I kind of found a way to do something else. So once the football dream ended, what was your new dream?
Once the football dream ended, like I said before, basketball was kind of my second favorite sport. So of course I played that all the time in the neighborhood whenever I can on my prosthetic. But I knew, especially after trying football, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to go run up and down the court for like extended periods of time with basketball. So I was talking around like the area. My mom at the time was working at a hospital, and one of her nurse colleagues basically introduced me to like a foundational organization out of Birmingham, which is the Lake Trail Foundation, which is also a Paralympic and Olympic training facility that had a bunch of adaptive sports that kids in the neighborhood, people anywhere if they wanted to come can try. And then you also had like actual Olympic and Paralympic athletes who actually train there as well. So you can actually see firsthand some of these adaptive athletes and what they do for their sport. So I went there one weekend, one Saturday, and tried a bunch of sports: wheelchair tennis, wheelchair basketball, of course. I even tried wheelchair rugby at the time, which I knew I couldn't do because of my disability. I was too able at the time because it was more for more extreme disabilities for wheelchair rugby, but I wanted to try it. But I just fell in love with basketball. It just came very, very natural to me at the time. And then the coach of the team there saw me in like just a whatever chair and saw potential in me right away. And I was able to kind of get established with the team later in that season, even after the season started already.
So going on that, right? How important was it that you had, visibility to other athletes that were doing it?
Oh, it's extremely important. It's kind of the biggest thing that I've talked to you about in the past is just having accessibility for kids to actually see it, the sports, and see if they can do it, see how other people and maybe hear their stories and how they did it and how they came to this level. Because that's the thing, it's just certain areas don't have adaptive programs. So therefore, kids who have disabilities might not know about them because they're not in areas that have adaptive programs. And that's the kind of driving factor right now. There are more and more adaptive programs popping up across the country in the U.S. that kind of helps get the awareness out for those people with disabilities and adapted needs to continue to play sports while having a disability.
Yeah, because I feel like kind of helps the conversation a little bit more, right? Kind of helps kind of build that community, kind of help build that drive to think that, because I think it's probably easy to think that like my sports dreams stop if I can't be, able-bodied, and then we say, right? So I think like be able to, see guys like you, Jorge Sanchez, right? Kids can start dreaming, oh, I can be a Paralympian, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Dreams that over even after something traumatic like losing a limb or gaining a disability happens.
Yeah. So once that coach approached you, how far did you see you can go with this?
At first, the coach was like, I think you'd be good at basketball. So I was like, oh, thanks. Basketball is one of my favorite sports. So I try to train and try to put the work in and be good at it. And he's like, yeah, and I really, really do think that you can grow to be a really good player. And if you want, you can come and play for my team and see if you like it and stuff like that. And of course, I went to a couple practices, fell in love with it. The coach at the time was very, very intense coach. He was doing, collegiate level drills and training camps and like holiday camps for kids that were like in middle school and high school. So I was able to get kind of that elite coaching early on, and it kind of helped and even propelled my drive even further to maybe try to see how far I can go in the sport and see if I can get to that next level. Maybe representing my country at the world stage at the Paralympics type of thing. And it stemmed from that one coach showing a little bit of faith in me, believing in me, giving me the tools that I needed to continue to pursue my next passion, my next dream.
What's your game like? Are you what? You a 3-point shot guy? You a defender? What's your game?
I would say my overall game is more well balanced, I would say.
Okay.
Especially I love defense. So I definitely specialize more in defense. I grew into the role of being more of a shooter, especially early on, because I felt like my team needed me to be more of a scorer. But I would say definitely well balanced. I like to think that not being a specialist per se, but being well balanced, it makes you harder to guard and harder to defend because they don't know what you're going to do, type of thing, and they don't know how to play against you if you're on defense. And I still do that to this day. I try to maximize as much of my flaws as possible to kind of be a more well-rounded basketball player.
All right. So a few weeks ago, we had Jorge Sanchez on the podcast, right? So 1-on-1, who's winning?
That's a great question. It's been a while since we played 1-on-1. That's actually a great question. I don't know. I think it'd be pretty even because we both pretty fast. We grew up playing against each other in grade school, and we kind of modeled our game after each other. I know he'll say that I kind of model my game after Brian, but it's more that I model my game off the generation before me, the Pat Andersons, those type of guys there are known as legends in the sport. And then I kind of just tailor their game to my body type on what I can do physically. And I feel like both of us are pretty same physical physique, and we can kind of do things similar. And he's the same way. He likes to be more well balanced as well, defensively and offensively. I'm gonna say it'd be 0-0 because we're more defensively minded.
Who gets the first point? Who gets the first point?
Who gets the first point? I might say me because I like my one traditional go-to move is a fadeaway.
Okay.
And it's pretty hard to guard. And I also once I went to college, I tailored enough that I can fade away going sideways instead of going straight back. I go from side, so it's more like a off balance shot. So I have kind of tailored that type of style to my game and I'm able to kind of incorporate it in games pretty easily. So I would say maybe I would get the first point, but after a few defensively, possessions, we're going to get tired. We're going to be checking up shots because we can't get past each other. So maybe I will get the first shot in.
All right. So when you're both back in the States, we're gonna do a one-on-one game.
Yeah,
We'll-
I would say I'm gonna say that we do that, and then maybe we'll have some more videos. We'll see who
yeah,
scores first.
I can record or something because I want to try playing. Like I don't think
Okay,
I'll be
yeah.
that good, but
You never
but
know until you try.
I want to try it. Just
Yeah.
because the thought of having to roll yourself right,
Mhm.
you got to pass and shoot, just to figure out
Mhm.
you got to think about a lot of different things. I feel like that
Mhm.
you would just normally, and just standing up basketball.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So this new dream began, you're now new coach kind of gave you opportunity to dream bigger now, right? You're now able to
Mhm.
start thinking about, oh, maybe I could rep the USA. How did you
Mhm.
think about how I'm going to approach that dream? I'm going to achieve this new dream.
Um, it's more that I was given the tools to, so I took advantage of it, type of thing. So when I had like this very, very nice facility, Olympic Paralympic facility with, tons of weights, machines, all different types of exercise equipment on top of like, 3 full-size courts back like side by side, swimming pool, all this, other types of things. I just took advantage of it. I just went wild and I was just in the gym constantly. And it kind of, just didn't want to take advantage of like the position that I was in. Because like I said, most kids with disabilities don't have like facilities at that level in that backyard. And I did. I literally lived only like 20 minutes away from that facility. And most people have maybe live 2, 3, 4 hours from anything close to that. So I was just very fortunate and I wanted to take advantage of that. And that kind of also helped. And my coach at the time got me in contact with Performance, the wheelchair company. And I was able to get basically a brand new chair fitted personally for me after my very first year, leading to my second year of playing basketball. And that's something that most kids don't even get a chance to do, have like a fitted chair for them that early. Because usually when you're that young, you normally just get hand down chairs or chairs that you can adjust constantly, and they're mostly bulky. They don't push well. But this chair was perfect. It made me quick. It made me fast. I was able to do pretty much everything I need to do in it. And having that on top of the facility just helped me prepare my game even more and my craft even more.
So you had like the Jordan, the wheelchairs.
At the time, I thought so for sure.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of the top competitors with wheelchairs at the time. It was them and Quickie that were pretty competitive back when I was a kid. Performance definitely has taken off way more now, and then been more of a dominant factor in the market right now. So I would definitely say there are more the Jordans right now of the wheelchair brand, and a lot more people use them for wheelchair basketballs and now wheelchair tennis and other sports now as well.
Nice. That's you don't really know about, right? You don't really hear about,
Mhm.
like that thought that it matters what wheelchair you have, the
Mhm.
whether it kind of optimal, be able to play. So
Mhm.
that's cool to learn. So in our little form thing, for the podcast, that was the
Mhm.
question, it's like if you had to write if you had have like a story for your journey, what would you call it? Right. And you said like,
Yeah.
remember what you said?
I vaguely remember, but I don't know if you have it written down,
Yeah.
but I vaguely remember it.
Yeah, you said back to back cuts to back golds. So what does that
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Well, when I first started, or like trying out for USA teams, I was at 16. I was actually pretty fortunate to make a under 23 USA team at the age 16. And I was very, very surprised because at the time I was like, I'm not making it, but I'm just gonna have a blast. I'm playing against all of these people that I've seen play and looked up to, and want to be at their level someday. And I'm fortunate enough to make it. And it kind of extremely piqued my appetite to make like a senior USA team down the road. So like after that, after I made that team, after I've gone to that tournament, after the team was very successful there, and I felt like I was able to contribute a fair amount, even though I'm not the biggest guy out there. I was able to use my speed, my skills intelligence, stuff like that, to kind of level out some of the maybe more physically gifted athletes and older athletes at the time. So I was like, oh, okay, I need to make a senior team now. I'm gonna try to do it. So then I started trying out for senior teams after that, and I just kept missing out. And I knew the first couple, oh, okay, I'm super young. I know I'm gonna miss it. Like the Beijing was, I was like, maybe I can make it, but I knew that was most likely no, because I was a very, very small, like 4'5". That's the highest class you can be. And that's my class. And there's usually like huge guys, like centers, like people who are like 6'5", 6'6", or higher, and they're huge in their chairs. And I'm only like 6'1". And I'm really not that huge in my chair. So I have to compete against all these bigger guys, and they pick more by height back then. So I was battling against that, and I can't really change my height per se. I could fine tune some of the, more finer details of my game to kind of even out the level a bit, but I can't change my height. So then when London 2012 came around, I was like, okay, this might be a really, really good time to like make the team, because I improved quite a bit in like my defense, those skills in terms of guarding bigger guys that's way, way bigger than me, and keeping them from their spots that they're comfortable shooting with. I improved my shooting tremendously, and I felt like I can be able to incorporate some of that into the team and help them win. And of course, I got cut for that kind of similar statement. Oh, I think you're too small. Well, like, we know you're super fast, and you can keep mostly anyone from the basket, but you're not big. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I got cut again, back to back. And then I was like, okay, now I need to do another step to kind of improve my game. So that's after that, I decided to go professional. So then that's when I made the decision to come overseas and then start training at a more higher level, and then playing against some of those guys that I'm going to be playing against at the national level against their countries. And that helped tremendously. I saw a huge, huge leap. And then after that, the next quad came around 2016. I finally made the team. I was able to make a spot. And right away, I thought I was able to kind of make an impact right away. I was on the starting lineup. I was able to contribute to, of course, a gold medal winning performance at the Paralympics in Rio in 2016. And then after that, of course, I stayed hungry. And again, we came back together for Tokyo, and we did it again. So it's that, setbacks going to happen as part of life. It's more staying with it. And if you really, really want to accomplish it, putting the extra work into it, making sure that you put all the hours, making sure that you maximize all the different areas that you can use to increase your skills, and then going after it again. And maybe not 100%, but a little bit more, like 101%, 105%, just a little bit extra to kind of get to that next level. And that's what I felt like I did after those hard cuts, especially the very, very last cut.
That's dope right there to hear, like
Yeah.
you didn't quit, right?
Yeah.
So what was the motivating factor besides not quitting? Like, was it more of an ego thing? Was it more, like, I got the dream, like, I got to achieve it? Like what kept you going after each of those cuts?
It's a lot of things. I would say some of the guys that made the team telling me constantly that you should be on this team. That helped me tremendously, because then it's like, well, if they're saying that, they don't have any control of what the coaches decide or who they pick, and they want me on their team, then I need to get better. I need to 100% what have the coaches say, without a doubt, he has to be on this team. And that kind of helped my kind of drive even more. It was already pretty high at the time, but it helped my drive even more. And a lot of those guys that I played with on the USA team, they played overseas. And that's how they got better and stayed, consistent throughout their career. So then that was kind of my deciding factor. Like, I need to do that as well. I need to go overseas. I need to get better. I need to play against the best in the world with those players across the country and across the world. So that's what I did, and I was able to make the team.
How big is the overseas market for wheelchair basketball? Kind of like 'cause there's not one in the States, right? There's no like league in the States, or is
No,
there?
there's a league, but it's not considered professional for the fact that you don't get like paid to play type of thing. And there's a few professional leagues across the world. The biggest one I would say would be Europe. That's where you get paid the most because there's not as many competing sports. I would say like in Germany, it's crazy to think, but like I think wheelchair basketball is like fourth, maybe fifth next like biggest sport because that's how much they promoted it. That's how much like backing by sponsors they have. And then that's kind of hard in the States because you have all these other competing sports. You have the NBA, the NBL, the NFL, the baseball, the hockey, the both men and women, the all the lacrosse. You have all these other different sports. Like it's just crazy how many sports. Like even competitive darts is getting like big. Like it's all these different sports you have to compete against in the US. It kind of helps that kind of prevents some of the smaller sports like which is basketball or even adaptive sports kind of get more shine and more limelight.
So kind of following on that, then how do we grow those sports in the U.S.? How do we get more notoriety on adaptive sports and what you all are achieving?
I would definitely say it has helped for sure. And it kind of stemmed from a lot of the like news broadcasting or like channels broadcasting the Paralympics like more openly on TV and live TV rather than being like streaming. I know that the biggest push was leading up to Rio 2016 was with NBC was to be able to have like live coverage of the Paralympics and the different sport. So people like as they're watching TV they actually see it rather than you have to like know about it. You have to go to like a link and stream it type of thing. So it's awareness. Like more people are getting the chance to know about it. And that's the biggest thing because most people, especially when I was younger, they just didn't know that there was even a such thing as wheelchair basketball. Like it was just like a foreign concept to them. But like now, like that especially after this last Paralympics, that like I've had people say like, I just saw you play like while I was, having food or having a drink at the bar, and I just saw like your gold medal game because even after they played it live, they have it like on loops for a couple of weeks, just showing it on the NBC channels and other channels. So it was just cool to like see that because back then I didn't have it. I remember watching my teammates in like Beijing and then even London. They kind of London when they kind of started the broadcasting a bit more, but Beijing there was nothing, so I had to go to like a link to stream it. So it was just to see the kind of progressing from each competition, how it got better, improved better, the broadcasting stations improved of how and when and how much coverage people are actually seeing.
So it can come down to accessibility then.
Yeah, exactly. That was the biggest thing. Just people just didn't have accessibility to actually see adaptive sports.
So when it comes to getting a team overseas, is that an easy process? Like you got to hire an agent or what? How did you kind of go about finding a team in a league over, across the world?
So in wheelchair basketball, there's like basically a kind of a world governing body for wheelchair basketball, which is called the International Wheelchair Basketball Federation. And then they have a website that you can actually go on there and then kind of like put on like a form for like some of the European clubs to see, like saying that you want, you're looking to go overseas and play professional basketball. And then you can kind of submit, video clips. You can write kind of like your basically professional resume on there, and they can see that and see some of the things that you have done in the past and see if they want you. It also helped with me having a lot of my USA teammates already overseas or have been overseas already. So they were able to kind of get my word out to them directly and actually talk to like the clubs, the managers, like, oh, I know this, teammate from USA team who's looking to come over and play professionally. I feel like he'd be a good fit, that type of thing. That helped tremendously. And I was fortunate enough right away to go to a great club in Italy and help them to, championships right away. And that was kind of stemmed from I had teammates that played there before. type of thing. And that kind of helped propel my career, because then I went from, a good team to a great team, to I've only gone to good teams type of thing. And it kind of helps with knowing people, having people who've done it already.
So, right, we haven't got to gold yet, but like if you look back to like that kid, in Alabama, right, that before the injury, all type of stuff, right? Like, what would you tell him about the journey ahead?
I would say to him that the journey is going to be, a difficult one, hard one, long one. I know you want to, represent your country at the world stage, especially after you got into basketball. I'm gonna say stick with it. They're gonna keep telling you that you're too small, you're too this, but to keep working on your craft, working on everything, even more so to prove them wrong, to show them that you deserve to be on the USA team, you deserve to be on, considered as a great player or one of the great players to play basketball for your country. And you will get there one day if you stay on this track and continue to put in the work to do so.
And that was fire right there, man. Like that can be like an alarm right there, like a voice note alarm, like one of those.
Like, a little self-talk type of thing.
Yeah.
Like the apps, it just wakes you up like you are amazing. You will do great things today.
Yeah. Like I can feel some kid right now, that had those same dreams right that you had, right? Having an alarm that tells them that what you just said right there, like every day, like they're gonna tell you you're too small, they're gonna tell you X, Y, Z, but keep going, keep pushing. Because sometimes you can kind of need those affirmations, right? To, like your teammates, right? Were telling you should be on this team,
Yeah, exactly.
So what was it like when you finally made the USA team? You said you had back-to-back cuts, so this was what? So 2016 was the year you made the team, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I made the team starting, I guess you would say 2012. Kind of beginning of the 4 years. So, because you have to go to like smaller tournaments to qualify for other tournaments and then qualify for the Paralympics. So I've made the US team starting at 2012. Or no, I guess 2013. Sorry, 2013 after the London Paralympics. So 2013.
And what was your initial emotion after knowing you went through this whole journey, right? And that you endured the cuts, you got better overseas, right? To know that I get to live my dream now of representing the USA.
Oh, it was amazing. It just especially once, because making the team like before making like the Rio team, it was like, okay, because they can always just take new players just to see how they do type of thing. And not necessarily take a team geared for one thing like the Paralympics. So I knew like it's good making a team now, but I know I need to still keep putting in the work to make that final team for the Paralympics, because that's ultimately what matters, is that goal, making the Paralympics. So once I made it, I was like over the moon. Like I called everyone. It was just like at the time I still really couldn't believe it. Like I knew I should make it because I put in all the work, but when it happens, it's like, man, I am going to represent my country at the world stage and be able to, compete against the best of the best in my sport. It was just surreal, amazing feeling.
Yeah. That's dope. And you won gold.
And the one gold that on top of that, yeah, it's for my very first Paralympics too. It just got crazy to like looking back at it. And it was, and the kind of I would say driving factor for our team at the time was that the US team didn't win gold at the Paralympics in 28 years.
Wow.
Since Rio 2016. And that was kind of our, driving factor. Like, it's no way, one of the, mecca of sports, like in the world, the US, it can't be that long of a drought, in basketball. So that was kind of our driving factors. Like everyone put in extra work, extra hours to be, the best it can be as a team to get the job done. And we accomplished that.
So now that you won back-to-back golds, right? Does the hunger stop?
No, I would say no. I would say it's still definitely there. You at this point, there's not as much left to prove, but you still want to compete. You still want to show the world that USA is still one of the top teams in the world in USA basketball. So of course, going into it, it's going to be, number one or bust. We're never going to be satisfied unless we get number one. And on the go with that is we usually have a kind of a mini worlds, I would say, not a mini worlds, a mini Paralympics, usually 2 years before the Paralympics, just for basketball, and it's usually like 16 teams, and that kind of determines like who is coming up, who's the teams to look out for. And then we lost that major competition against Australia leading into 2016, and that was a very, very heart-wrenching feeling, like losing, making it to the finals, and then losing, knowing that we could have played better, we should have played better, type of thing. So that was our driving factor. Like, it has to be number one or nothing at all. Like silver, bronze, any of those things are not going to be satisfactory unless we get number one.
How long is the overseas season when you're playing pro overseas?
It normally starts. It depends country to country, but normally it starts around, I would say, beginning of October and goes until beginning of May. Right. For the most part. Some countries go from October to like the end of May, but it's normally October to May in some general sense.
So you kind of on like the end of your season a little bit right now?
Exactly. Like, I have 2 major competitions coming up right now, and that's Champions Cup, and that's basically kind of like the Paralympics of our sport. Is basically all the best club teams in Europe, the whole of Europe. So we'd be playing, the best teams across all of Europe. So in Spain, in Italy, in France, and seeing who's the best club team in all of Europe, not just in Germany. So I was actually fortunate enough to win that last year. And I was kind of, after winning gold, that was kind of one of my bucket lists too, was to win the Champions League and be a part of a club and consider the best club in all of Europe. And I was able to accomplish that last year, right before winning gold again in Tokyo. But yeah, I have that next week starting. And now our team is refocusing and trying to be able to see if we can go back to back in that and see if we can, accomplish being, the other top club teams in Europe again.
Yo, Brian, man, all you do is win right now, right? All you do is win.
I would say that. I definitely have a couple of losses, especially this season already, to a lot of good club teams in Germany. So, but I try my hardest to help the team win no matter what.
So, is your family overseas with you right now, or are they back home in the States?
Yeah, the family's here for sure. It's kind of hard doing long distance, so the family's definitely here with me.
I bet that's fun for them, right? To get to go overseas, a little bit and kind of to see the world.
Yeah, it's definitely looking back. It's like it's been a great opportunity for the kids, especially because they get embraced completely into different cultures, different languages. They picked up, so many different languages. My eldest daughter, at the time when I was in Italy, was speaking fluent Italian. But then now she's in German schools for the past 5 years. So now she speaks fluent German. And then my second oldest daughter is speaking, a decent amount of German as well. And now my eldest son is picking up German. So, they're picking up languages, and I'm gonna hope and I'll have them stick with it, with keeping the language, because they're gonna help them down the road being able to speak a second language. So
yeah. 3 and 4th language probably by the time I'll be done, right?
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. I mean, that's a unique experience right there, right? Just to be able to to see the world firsthand at a young age.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So since you're killing the game right now, man. How do I get a Brian Bell jersey once this is all? How do I get one of those from my wall, man? How do I make that happen?
I might have a few of them. It just depends on where you want it from. I have a few jerseys from like clubs. I have a few ones for Team USA. But I definitely have a few floating around if you do want one.
Oh, I legit want an autographed Brian Bell jersey, man. Yeah.
I can make it happen.
Yeah, I think like Team USA because I asked Jorge too, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I enjoy this video because like I get to hear your stories, right? And and to see how you all persevere, right? And I want to make sure with 9 Point as we continue to grow that we show more adaptive stories because you're gonna be the one that inspires some kid who just had a life-changing situation to say that they can still dream of being the athlete still, right? They can still dream of doing amazing things and that their life isn't limited. So
exactly.
So I appreciate you coming on here, man, and just sharing your journey.
Yeah, no problem at all.
Yeah. So as we kind of end this a little bit, so one question for you. So what's next?
Okay. What's next? Let's see. Well, as I mentioned, I'm getting ready for Champions Cup next week. And then after Champions Cup, we have German finals here. So that'll be, like I said, 2 potential titles that I can get. And then after that, leading into Team USA again, during the summertime. So I have the first USA training camp the second weekend of June. And then that'll be with Jorge as well. So we'll be getting ready to compete in Brazil to qualify for Worlds in November.
So you back in the States? What June?
I'll be back in the States by June. Yeah.
June. Cool, man. Cool. Well, good luck. Good luck with the cups. Get
thank you.
Get some more blings.
I'm gonna try my hardest. No worries.
And then
I like to leave the club on a high. So if I can do that, I will.
Definitely. I'll be watching or trying to watch. I'm gonna find a way to kind of stream it out here, maybe.
Okay, definitely. I could definitely send you any type of like links or whatever that I have to help with streaming. So
yeah, definitely. Shoot my way, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And then the last question for you, Brian, where are you at right now? Social media, anything we kind of mention right now?
No, not per se right now. I'm not doing anything too big. I am at the moment like ending my professional career overseas, and I'm looking to move back permanently to the US. So now I'm looking for, a real, big boy job now. So I'm kind of getting, dusting out my resume back from, the college days and trying to fine tune things like that and shipping out my resume to potential companies to kind of find a job before I move back at the end of May, beginning of June.
Sweet. And then right now, social media wise, where are you at? Social media wise? Instagram, anything like that? What's Instagram handle, or you're on Twitter?
My Instagram handle should be never know this off the top of my head. But it should be like B_Bell, I believe. A bunch of I'd like to just use my name and not be too fancy, so it's easier for people just to look me up. But I'm pretty sure it's like just B_Bell.
Let's see.
And it's pretty close to that as well on Twitter.
B_Bell 1308.
Yeah, 1308. Yeah, those are my numbers in high school, college, and USA team.
Okay, 8 like Kobe.
Yeah.
There we go. Hey man, well Brian, I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. And really, I learned a lot through this conversation. So I appreciate you, and good luck next week. Yeah, I appreciate you, Jacolby, for having me come on to your podcast and tell my story. So I do appreciate it. Definitely, man. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll be in touch soon. Thank you. You do the same. Bye. Bye.
Yo, thanks for listening to this episode of the 9 Point Started With a Dream podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please comment, share, leave a review. We would love to hear your thoughts. You can find more athlete-driven content at 9point.com. Till the next episode, you're only one opportunity away. Peace.